Let's begin here with some introductions. My name is Miles Berry. I'm the current president of Edmonton-Gold Bar Provincial CA.
And my name is yes, hooray. My name is Eva Chipiak. I am a citizen in Edmonton, and I'm really trying to get Edmontonians, Albertans, Canadians more civically engaged, and I am on the CA in City Centre.
Well, thank you, Eva. Maybe we can start with the format of the evening. We advertised it as a Q&A, but primarily what we wanted tonight to be about was networking. We wanted it to be one-on-one conversations, so I'm delighted to see so many of those going on already tonight, and we hope that we'll continue that after Eva and I finish a little bit of a more formal portion of the evening. So Eva, I wanted to start us off with a little bit of a question.
A question and a game has to come with a prize, so you get a prize of a book, and or a t-shirt or hat from Empowered Canadians. And the question to you is, and whoever says it loudest and happiest, I don't know, is going to win the prize. And the question to you is, and get your phones ready if you're not sure, who was the first Premier of Alberta? Rutherford. Yay! To the gentleman in the back.
Very confident, quick answer. Excellent. Well, more of those later. So, who are we? Well, we are the party. Everybody in this room, a party does not exist if it's not for the people that make it up. And so thank you all for coming here this evening. Really, really appreciate that. And, you know, just as we, the members, constitute the Constituency Association, we recognize that the party does not exist without active participation and engagement. And that engagement happens in the form of a Constituency Association, and several of which are here tonight. So I just want to ask my Constituency Association members to put up their hand for Edmonton-Gold Bar, please. Thank you. Please give them a round of applause, because really any candidate needs a Constituency Association to mount any sort of effective campaign. We are volunteers, students, retirees, managers, lawyers, business executives, grandparents, you name it, you get the idea, coming from all walks of life to give up their time as volunteers to form the Constituency Association. Nationally, we're facing an avalanche of failed economic policies brought to us courtesy of NDP, socialist, and liberal alliances that have resulted in skyrocketing inflation and more uncertainty than ever. Provincially, our Premier is working tirelessly with her team, working to assert Alberta's constitutional right to manage our energy resources, to protect, preserve, and enhance our economy so that our families will stay and prosper in this great province. Civically, the time for accountability and common sense decisions is long past due. I'm sure we can all agree. So our party members must not be complacent in thinking that the trust that we earned this past election is to be taken for granted and that it will sustain itself. That's why tonight we're gathering to build community, united in purpose to preserve that mandate and to build a force that can be a reckoning of accountability in Edmonton-Gold Bar, Strathcona, and in the central southeast area. Tonight is a product of something that Imad and I worked on in the last election, sharing resources between Edmonton-Gold Bar and Edmonton-Strathcona, recognizing that there are strength in numbers. Friends, our conservative values are strong values. We are warriors for a streamlined and efficient government that works for the people, generating the economy that we all need to be successful, one that funds our social programs and our education and crushes ridiculous inflation and that creates prosperity. So tonight, we're doing a little bit of a Q&A sort of based on your interests and also helping you understand the importance of a constituency association and building on some themes from Eva's book.
So to make this as interactive as possible, I want to poll the audience on what you think are some of the most critical issues. So, for example, please raise your hand if you think that the energy sector is something that is a critical issue that you have concerns or questions about. Okay, that's a large majority. How about healthcare? Is that something you have issues with, concerns with? Almost everyone. Education. Still, about, I think that one may be a little bit less. So if you're not aware, these three sectors are all within the provincial mandate. So this is under the provincial government. With the UCP party, this is a provincial party. So this is something, if you have concerns on these, for example, three areas, which are generally areas that you hear the most people having concerns, I think, about, one of the top three. These are provincial issue matters. So that's why it's so important to get involved provincially. There's often a lot of discussion federally, a little bit less municipally, which is also very important. We could talk about that as well. But getting involved on a provincial level with areas like those three examples is incredibly important. So one more question to the audience. Before today, did you know what a CA or a constituency association was? Okay, the vast majority, but there's still quite a few that didn't know. So that's what we want to talk about, because it's a super important aspect of a political party, and it's kind of the grassroots way of being involved in a party. So maybe I'll turn it back to Miles here.
And I had the opportunity in talking with people in the crowd here before we're speaking here tonight about that. And I know that some of you came here seeking more information about how to get involved. And that's the primary reason, like I say, that we wanted to set this up. And we're hoping that it's going to be something that we're going to do in the future. Tonight was a proving ground for that. How many feel this is a good location, for instance? Show of hands. Yeah, great. Yeah, good. That's, yeah. Well, we love it so far. That's great. So we talked about the who we are. Now we'll talk a little bit about the what and the why. Provincially, CA has to have a purpose, and that purpose is primarily to get ready for the next election. And a lot of the things that are discussed in between there relate to the direction that the party is going to take. So the structure of a CA provincially is 30 members, and thankfully in Edmonton-Gold Bar, after our last AGM, we can say that we are pretty close to that level of success. And we've got a good group of people already that is focused on things like youth engagement, policy and governance. We've got, of course, our basic positions of president and chief financial officer and secretary and membership. But there's also teams that are very necessary for raising the funds in between an election. And that's where, of course, you need events planners. And thank you to our team tonight who did an excellent job. Round of applause for pulling this all together. Identifying venues like this that are convenient and cost effective for us so that we can actually have a fundraising plan in between the election that we can raise up the money that we need to mount a credible campaign. Really, nowadays, a credible campaign, well, what would you say? David Dorward here, past candidate for our Edmonton-Gold Bar area. David, what would you say is necessary for a good campaign to be launched in terms of dollars these days?
$75,000.
Yeah, I would agree.
I'm picking a higher number. I mean, you can get away with a lot less than that, but I'm thinking a robust campaign number.
Right. So in between an election, CAs can raise about as much money as they want. Brett, you had something to say? The question was, what would you spend that 75 on?
The common ones are signage, advertising, brochures. The luxury items are paid door knockers. Despite despite what you hear, it's impossible to door knock all the riding by yourself especially. So if you have money to pay for paid volunteers, paid subcontractors to, I'm trying to avoid the word volunteer. Of course, you don't have to pay that if you have volunteers, so that's wonderful. That's why it's a luxury. But that's the main. Those are the main expenses. Office, your campaign office. If there's any dribbles and drabbles left at the end, you might be able to pay an honorarium to your key campaign people.
Yeah. I look at it as, contributing to a student's health and wellness by giving them, an opportunity to get out there and get some physical activity and cover a few expenses at the same time. And if, those door knockers can be, thoughtfully trained ahead of time so that they're understanding what the party's platform is looking like and that they're aligning with the candidate's message, these are all very positive things. And of course, those are hopefully, younger members that are going to continue to stay engaged with the party long after that. One of the things that I like to do as president is have conversations with prospective board members ahead of time, and to have a good long conversation about why they feel that they want to get engaged politically. For me, anyways, when I got involved, it was because of David Dorward. Volunteering on his campaign and getting to know him very well, I felt very much that our values aligned and stayed involved myself. And I try to infuse a little bit of that with our board in making sure that those conversations happen, so that I'm also understanding what sorts of skills those people have that they want to develop, what are their goals for continuing their volunteering with the CA, and essentially to develop a volunteer, training plan or growth plan. I think that's really important. So, policy and governance. I'll let you talk about policy and governance. How about that?
Sure, although that's my least favorite part of the CA and I haven't been involved, but it is a really good reason to get involved, because at the CA, Constituency Association level, you have an opportunity to develop policies. Those policies are then brought forward to the annual general meeting before all of the membership of the UCP party, and it's growing like wildfire, the party, which is amazing too. I think it was at 5,000 last year, and they're trying to get 8,000 this year in Edmonton.
Yeah.
So let's make it happen. But that's when you can write a policy that is voted on by those 5,000 or 8,000 members. And then if it's approved by the party, passed by the party, then that is something that at least the elected officials have to really consider. And generally they vote those things in, I think, if that's appropriate to say. But you really do have a voice at that level. And that's what's really interesting and cool, and a great ability for everybody to get involved. Anybody can write a policy, and that's a really interesting component of being part of a CA, Constituency Association.
You have the opportunity, that's the key word, the opportunity to be involved. But really, if you're not coming to a CA meeting and you're not having your voice heard, then those ideas, they languish. And, in Edmonton-Gold Bar, with our policy and governance group here, we've already got a couple of really good ideas. Unfortunately, some of those members aren't here tonight to talk about that, but two really good ideas that they're currently talking about that I want to see actually brought forward. And the more CAs that can get involved with that, the more balanced the party is across the whole province. Because one of the things that we saw at the last AGM was there were some very active policy and governance CAs out there, and we saw it with the resolutions that made its way to the floor. So I'm personally hoping, and I know some of the other CA presidents in the room here are also hoping that our CAs will, at least in the Edmonton area, be more active that way. So. So that's a little bit about what the main roles in a CA include. Maybe time for another poll?
Yeah.
Or is there more that you want to talk
No, I think we could do that. Or, well, should we turn to a Q&A, which
Yeah,
is what
that's
we
fine.
advertised the event. So we do want to, and we hope to focus some of the questions more on the civic engagement and CAs. And why is this important right now? Because I'm sure you've all heard that there is a bylaw happening, or by-election happening right next door in the Strathcona riding, and, you know, we need to get involved and active in order to really assist and make a good campaign out of that. So if anybody has questions around that, again, CAs, how to get involved, what's the point, what's going on with Strathcona bylaw, I keep saying bylaw, by-election, maybe Miles might have the answer, maybe not, or we could get the answer for you. But, you know, that's a huge opportunity to get involved coming up soon, to do all the door knocking that Miles was talking about, to get to know candidates, all those things. So any questions around that? We're here. Oh, and yes, you go ahead with the candidates.
Sure. Yeah, well, I'll lead in a little bit more also with, touched on it. We talked about the who and the what, a little bit more about the why. In this case, the why is about winning. Obviously, we want to, you know, we obviously want to win. Why elect? To see our voices translated, our values translated into a voice. When I was knocking on doors, one of the things that I told voters was that I was simply asking them to borrow me their power. You know, the power that they had, that oftentimes they didn't feel like they had any power, to which I tried to remind them that the power that they have is their vote. For those that didn't think they had power, well, that's our job to show them that they are wrong. How they use their power is up to them. I mean, some choose to not vote, and that's, you know, I guess how they're choosing to use their power. But if we wanted them to just simply lend it to us, then we can amplify their voice. Hopefully that's what our candidates are doing. They are amplifying the voice of our voters. But the how is not possible without the who, and that who is you. And you need to support our candidates as they are developing. And thankfully, we have several prospective candidates in the room here tonight. You know, there's various different stages of electoral preparation right now. So I just want to start with maybe those in the room that are currently prospective nominees for upcoming elections to maybe put up your hands. Possible. So there we go. We've got a few here in the room. So I encourage you to have some one-on-one conversations with them throughout the evening. We've got Jahal, and we've got Imad, and we've got Carolyn, and I think I saw Dean in here earlier. Where Dean stick there? Yeah, and Malik is here, right? Yeah, right. So we've got a few here in the room, and encourage you to have those one-on-one conversations with them. Let's see, so whomever that person is, no matter, you know, what ballot they appear on, they need our encouragement and our support. So please introduce yourself to them here tonight. Okay. Back to the questions.
We'll take some tough ones, but not many.
Sure.
Yay. Question number one.
Yeah, Imad.
I have a question. We're looking at jurisdiction between federal, provincial, municipal elections. When we're talking about, like, for example, Gold Bar, how does the provincial candidate contribute to the welfare of the community of Gold Bar versus, you know, the big picture for all the laws that we talk about? But what would make, for example, you speak of candidate in Gold Bar, like when's the election going to be in LA? How would that help the Gold Bar community with the day-to-day activity?
Yeah. So, sure, yeah. So I'll paraphrase Imad's question there. Essentially, you what is the candidate able to do to contribute to the betterment of the region that they're campaigning in and seeking election in, right? So, and David, you put up your hand.
Well, I gave that, so do you want
Yeah.
mine?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I've got some answer too, but yeah.
So I was elected between 2012 and 2015, and there's an enormous difference between having a representative in your area that is a member of the same party that is in governance. For example, I constantly was advocating for things happening in my community, whether that's a roof that needed to be done on a church or some other building that needed support or an activity. For us, there was some key ones, which is the folk festival is in our area. I don't know if you're aware, but the Gold Bar cross-country skiing needed snow down there. We have the second best snow producing equipment in that area, to second to Canmore in the province, which meant kids can literally stay at home and go to college here that want to cross-country ski before they had to go to Calgary to go to college, so they could ski in Canmore. And that's just supported those projects. I can't tell you about the hundreds and hundreds of times that people got helped as a result of being able to walk into my office and bring their concern to me, and then have me be able to walk into a minister's office. An opposition member can only write a letter and get a response a couple of months down the road. Now, you might, on a purist kind of situation, say, well, that's not right. Okay, fine. It is reality. And so I can remember I had a call from a young man. He had his baby was born early. He and his wife had gotten in the car and driven to Kelowna for a wedding there. And there was nobody in the bridal party from Kelowna. They just have to gather there and have the wedding. And his baby was born that night. And you may not know, but Alberta Health Services doesn't bring you home when you have something happen in another province, unless you have insurance for that kind of thing. And so she was in, the mother was still in intensive care, the baby was in intensive care, and he's had to go back to his job after a week, and there is nobody in Kelowna that they knew. And here's the baby and the mother there. And so I advocated to get the support of an air ambulance to be able to fly her back home. I had another one that a lady phoned me up and she said, good news, bad news. I'd met with her many times. She said, the cancer in my face is gone, whatever. And they told me it was June and I'm booked for my surgery in September or October. And I said, that's fantastic. She said, no, it isn't. They say I'm going to die at the end of July. And so I had a meeting with the health minister. And we found out that Alberta Healthcare had reduced the number of operations for that kind of cancer to 6 from 12 a year before. He didn't know that, so he didn't change her operation date. He didn't have to. He went back to Alberta Healthcare and said, the hell with that. You can't look at 12 operations for that kind of cancer now, please. And she got it done before she died. So, I mean, it's an enormous difference for the residents in the area. I can go on and tell you about what kind of stuff happens in an area by a hardworking, good MLA who's connected with the government side.
Thank you, David. Yeah, I think that's the biggest difference, right, is that connection to government. And we've been missing that for how many years in our area? And I would add to that by saying that when you've got local people that understand what's happening locally and are really connected to their community, then they know what to advocate for. And so those are some of my thoughts on that too.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Oh, some in the back there.
Sure.
One in the back.
Such a contrast in provincial politicians getting elected and federal. We tend to be really strong, conservative federally because of the city, but eventually we will see. What do you think is
Interesting conundrum, huh? Who has the answer?
It
Hey, it's not your Q&A.
You know, I'll throw in my 2 bits on this because it relates to why we are here tonight.
Yeah.
We have been talking about this amongst provincial presidents for quite some time. You know, Dean and others can attest to that have been around the table as to, you know, what those conversations look like. Edmonton needs an Edmonton-specific strategy. And the NDP have their machine that has been very effective for them in how they are networked with each other and how they share information amongst each other across the different levels of government. We all know it, we all see it. What we are doing here tonight is in counter to that. We are trying to gather like-minded people together in a region to, you know, to share our common values and to figure out what energizes us and what will motivate us to get more involved and share of those talents, because really that should be what it's about. We all have gifts to share. We're hoping that a night like this will cause you to you know, to be a little introspective for your own talents and figure out how you want to integrate that into, you know, into political action, basically. So that's my answer on that.
Did you want to add?
Yeah, and we've talked about this all the time for the last 25 years, and when it boils down to, I believe the best kind of answers are that the provincial issues tend to be issues of the heart. Education, advanced education, social services, healthcare, those are issues of the heart. Who does a great job of saying that, incorrectly, that they own the issues of the heart? The left. The left said we can blow all the money we want at all of these social services issues, education and healthcare and all this stuff, and so, you know, vote for us because we are the people that are going to make sure that we get you the social service checks and we get the ACE checks, and we you know, they work hard to own that space, whereas the federal issues tend to be more linear. Defense of the country, making sure the dollar is there, making sure that taxes are collected, da-da-da. And so those things are not so heart-related as the provincial.
And I agree very much with that. I very much agree with that, and I think that it goes back to what Miles was saying too, is a better strategy with communications. And I'm going to repeat this again. We're hoping that this is just the beginning of more and more of these events, because as we come together, we could talk about these things. And the right doesn't have to look like they don't have a heart. And I don't know why they're better at showing that they, in fact, do have a heart and want to help with these issues. So I think that's an issue of communications that we have to really resolve. I don't know, Brett, did you want to add to this? I just saw a hand up, or I don't know if that was a question. Okay, let's make it spicy.
I think it's all true. There's more than one answer to the question.
Speak louder, please.
You could come to the mic too. We've turned it into a fun event. It's all our voices.
I think the you know, federally versus provincially, I think what the federal government has done is to basically separate people up into different parts. It's divide and conquer. And so, you know, federally they own taxation, and they control the provincial by deciding what you're going to have to provide across the board in Canada to get those monies. So that's the issue, is that you know, the distinguishment between the different areas that governments should be working on, and so I think that's my point.
I would just say also that, and something that I brought up with our provincial presidents, that we as Conservatives need to do a better job being able to express our values. You know, if we can make the association between how we live our lives and why we might call ourselves conservatives, or at least identify with the conservative brand, then that hopefully will be a convincing argument for helping people understand that they should be part of our movement.
Lots of questions now, but you had a question here.
Just to add to that note. So just to add to that note to what David was talking about is that conservatives are more like on the nitty-gritty of running things, which goes to policy, finances, infrastructure, the actual physical things. The things that he was referring to as the things on the heart are essentially education, healthcare, social services, that sort of thing. The issue, I think, is that we tend to see those things as being run by the unions. And I think the union right now, because we're in Edmonton and in Alberta, a lot of the heavy lifting in the unions is being done here in Edmonton because they have leverage in that aspect. Unlike if you go to, for example, if you go to Quebec City, or if you go to Montreal, or if you go to Toronto, in those large cities, you're going to see much more like the managerial type of figures, not like the regular Joes like who do like the tradespeople who work in trades who tend to lean more conservative. So I think that there's going to be a demographic issue that we have to take into consideration, and that's probably what we have a situation like this we are right now.
Yeah, and the only thing I was going to say, we're not going to solve these issues all today. It's about starting the conversation and coming together. So I think we'll turn from this topic, if that's okay, and if there's other questions about it, that would be great. There were other people that raised their hands, so yes, go ahead. I don't know why I said it so loud. I think I was doing it for you. Okay.
Specifically, I would like to know how many people here are in a union presently or have a union-based job. And I'll tell you the reason why I'm asking this, because when I was working in a union, our union was very strong. AUPD was really strong in Alberta, especially in the city here, in the city hospitals. And they were protected by the NUP. Why are the conservatives not protecting the union workers? If they did that, they would get 1 million votes.
And so I don't have the answer to that. I can't speak on behalf of the UCP or the party. But what it also suggests to me is that we need to just get a bit more organized and coordinated. I even know with trying to coordinate this event, there was a lot of trying to get the word out, and I know a lot of work was put into it, but it's not incredibly coordinated, unfortunately, on this side. And that's where I think the left is excellent, very coordinated. So that's something I would suggest moving into the future. And I don't know, do we want to keep doing a few more questions here? It is 8 o'clock already.
It's not bad.
Not bad. So we'll take a few more. Okay, our friend Iman put up his hand first.
When you're watching the left or the wall, they do raise things off of demonizing all votes, whether it's the premier or the NLA, certification or how effective are the CAs in mobilizing for membership? Counter this message. What can the CA do to educate the membership to become the force? Or is it just providing central force?
So the question was about when the right is demonized by the left and what our CA is doing. And I'll turn that one to Miles, but I'll start with, today I recorded a podcast on my little podcast show that I do called Dialogue Over Division with Councillor Andrew Knack. And I did one with my councillor, Ann Stevenson. And we don't share a lot of the same views. And I did ask him those exact questions because I saw him demonize people. And I asked him, these are some of your own constituents that you've said these things about, and we had a conversation about it. I think as individuals, we can start those conversations and ask those questions of especially elected officials. Like, I think most of us here have an NDP MLA, or all of us really, it's all of Edmonton. And I think I encourage people to go to their NDP MLAs and have a conversation. You all seem pretty normal to me. Why is the question is just to have a face-to-face conversation. I didn't particularly really want to have the conversation with Andrew. I did it because I felt that we need to start building back the bridges, and the vilification has to stop. The demonization has to stop. It is not helping anyone, and it is so wrong. And if we could just start having we had a conversation, an hour and a half. I could have done a lot of other things in that hour and a half, but I decided to dedicate my time to that. So on an individual level, I think there's an opportunity to, say, that's not cool. I don't appreciate you saying that about me. So there's an opportunity to just call them out on it. And on a CA level, I'll turn it to Miles.
Thank you. Yeah, no worries. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
I'm
Yeah.
not leaving on because of Miles. I told him I had to leave at 8.
He's leaving because of me.
Thanks for coming. I'll just briefly comment on communication. And I'll point out a man in the room here, Dale Alton, who has really stepped up in terms of trying to improve our communications within the Emden zone area. When it comes to information sharing and getting the facts out, that's something that I think speaks to more of the regional collaboration and communication that we've been trying to improve. So when, for instance, Marlon Schmidt, our current MLA, does something that is abhorrent, I think, to most people, he needs to be called out on it. And, we had Brendan Cameron here, who's sitting on our front table here, who did a great job putting together a media piece, and got some pretty good traction out of it. Even started a petition associated with it to try to create some awareness. That's a good example, I think, where we're providing a service to voters to help them be informed about some of these things that might be going on, but it's definitely something that we need to improve with a regional approach. And thank you, Dale, for trying to lead that. Another question? You got some more books to give away,
One more
too.
question, maybe? One more question.
From Dale.
Oh.
From Dale. We're talking about Edmonton Strathcona, a by-election coming up, and the fact that we have a lot of work to do to get into a position where we can do that. One of the challenges I'm seeing is how do we get the different constituency associations the authority and ability to actually share these volunteers in a way that we can descend on Strathcona and kick out Denshi.
Exactly.
Well, we keep having these events.
Yeah, sure.
That's all you have to do. I mean, you answered your question. Stand up with it. So I'm Dean Boyd. I just flew in from Washington, so I'm kind of grumpy. I've been in a tube for the last 9 hours. I've been working with Miles and listening to Dale, EMAD, for the last little bit. I'm involved at all 3 levels. Somebody called me eeny, meeny, blue just before I took off to Washington because I'm the president of Edmonton Beverly Clairview. I'm currently on Carolyn Matthews' team here, and I'm running the federal campaign for David Quest out of Mooseville. So I'm knee deep, depending on if I jump in head first or ankle first, in politics. And one of the things that we talked about last Sunday is comms. As a party, part of my language, we have shitty comms. And there's no way around that. The party just doesn't want to get better at comms. So it's up to us, as the CAs, as the membership, to be better at comms. Dave, just ask your question. Pick up the phone, you need volunteers. I have 6 of the best that unified message. We need the conservative values forefront, and every time somebody asks us about that, we just keep hammering on what a conservative value is. I spent 32 years in the military. We call it a mission statement. General gives a mission statement. From that mission statement, everybody below him understands what the mission is. And the problem that I'm seeing right now, and I've only been involved, well, for 2 years I've only been involved in this because the National Defense Act prohibits me from being, I'm here to protect democracy, not enforce it. But the mission statement to us as a soldier, boots on the ground conservatives, is forthright. I think as a party, we need to ask Premier Smith to come up with a very strong message at the very top about what core conservative values are. And then every time somebody asks us about that, we just point at the mission statement and say, this is what conservatism is in Alberta. And this is what we do as conservatives in Alberta. And this is why we're here to do that. And if we have that unified messaging, this NDP thing that they have going on starts to disappear because we start to erode their messaging. All they have is spend, 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 spend. That's it. That's all they do. But they're good at getting that messaging. But they have no forethought to what happens after they disappear. $67 million, $3 billion annually in debt servicing costs. Push back on that. When we lost in 2015, $750 million was what we were paying in debt servicing costs. We're now paying $3 billion. So when the NDP speaks up about costs or spend, ask them why. Ask them where $2.25 billion a year that we're spending in debt servicing costs goes. So we have to push back on that messaging. Forget about party comms. Party comms suck. I'm tired of, when we were at the Sunday the other day, we listened to them. More lipstick on the comms page. It's bad. We as CAs, regional or in Edmonton, we need to dig deep within our own CAs, within our own membership, to come and do this. And we will do that.
No, thank you. I think just the passion is welcome too, because I think it's so important to have some passion behind some of these things. But that's exactly part of the reason I think that we want to have these get-togethers so you guys could get to know each other, solicit volunteers, all of that stuff, and start that coordination. Like, we're in the same city. It shouldn't be that difficult, I would think. We'll take a couple more questions. Yep.
I don't really have a question.
Okay.
What I was going to say as a suggestion to maybe win over the left is to have some town halls to inform people and have a moderator so that somebody is going to say, okay, you can't insult this person. You have to stick to the facts, because that's what we all want to find out is the truth, the facts.
Love that idea. I'm hoping, I think I mentioned this to Miles, is that when the Strathcona by-election will be coming up and there's candidates, we could do a moderated debate and then possibly with Nenshi at some point if they agree to it. I don't know. But those are excellent things. Just, again, coming together. Again, we're in the city, so it shouldn't be that hard for us to be able to get together. It is a small little town, or small town. I don't know what they describe Edmonton, but we always seem to know somebody in Edmonton. Another question?
So prior to was the gentleman, what's his name again? Dean. Okay, thanks. So I think I work in a campaign federally and provincially in my own province. And one of the things that we were hammering a lot is the messaging. We need, when we're doing door knocking, we were not door knocking on the individual that was against us. We were door knocking on the message. Just the message. Repeat the message. Repeat. Also, there's a likelihood that we're going to have a federal election going on. So from a voter perspective, from a member perspective, you want to say, okay, I want to get involved into my own party, what have you. What's going to be the next step? There's no step. So we need to adjust and make sure that when we get a volunteer, and I've worked in a provincial campaign as well, it was a complete mess. We need to make sure that when we get involved, either politically, like provincially, federally, and municipally, that every single operation, it's outlined and you're just doing just that. You're doing door knocking, that's your job. You're doing phone calling, up to you, after you, also phone calling. Do not waste your time moving people around because that's going to create frustration. So we need that to make sure that our points are very outlined to what people do. And this is what we call compartmentalization, which essentially each one has a job to do and you stick to that.
Thanks. This is a regional approach, right? For those who don't know, Edmonton-Gold Bar and Edmonton-Strathcona provincially, when you combine them, is essentially Edmonton-Strathcona federally. And we've got the federal president in the back there. If you want to wave hi there, say hi to Joe from the Edmonton Federal Constituency Association. So, and so really this evening, I'm going to wrap it up here, Dale, because I think a lot of the conversations that we've been having here one-on-one are very beneficial. So my challenge to each of you tonight is to come back to another event, to bring a friend or two or three. Because they'll maybe win a prize.
And can I do the last one?
Yeah, for sure. And I'll just say also that, this is about trying to build up a volunteer base for, did you want to speak? For Edmonton Strathcona by-election, right? Because that is the next one that is imminent ahead of us here right now. We need to build up a good, strong volunteer base to tackle Nenshie's campaign and to knock on doors and have a presence, and we build on that, and hopefully we've got some knockers that are also carrying our message municipally and federally as well at the same time, and again, building up team. So,
Do you mind if I introduce Caroline?
yes, please. Yeah, let's talk about that.
I wanted to introduce Caroline Matthews. One of the things the socialist left side do well is integration. We don't do this at all. It's horrible. Somebody on the left side that's going for example, a school board has access to the same names, numbers, phone numbers, emails as somebody who's running for city council, who's running for an MLA or a federal position. In fact, the software for the feds, NDP, and the provincial is the very same software. Whereas in our situation, we don't do that at all. We're very isolated, and we need to be way better at it. And so in the context of being here tonight to support the upcoming battle with UCP against the NDP and the leader of the NDP, Nenshie, here in Strathcona, the great opportunity it is to win that seat and thus turn him away from Edmonton, where it's coming here for. Because he cannot get elected in Calgary, I can tell you that. That's exactly why he's here. In that context, it's important that we start to stratify a bit and come together. Our volunteers should be the same. We should support each other in the conservative movement, whether we're running for whatever that is. And so in that regard, and I'm not going to label her as a conservative, she doesn't want to be labeled, and I'm sorry if I've kind of done that, Caroline, but this is Caroline Matthews. She's running for our area of Métis and where I live in Gold Bar-ish area, transcends and going across the river. This is the former policewoman from Vancouver, francophone-speaking individual. She's now going to get embarrassed very quickly here. She is her own, she runs her own business. I could go on and on, but it's better she said no. And I hope that she gets volunteers and dollars, and we get her on city council and get Ashley Salvador and it up.
What an endorsement. Yeah. Did I turn this on?
Slide it up.
Oh, okay. So hello, everyone. Yes, I came in second in a field of 12 candidates in 2021. And for those of you that I didn't get a chance to meet during that campaign, I beat out the NDP. I had that machine come at me. I ran as an independent, and Councillor Salvador won that election. She also ran with her signs being exactly the same colors as Mayor Sohi. So she and she had the endorsements. But regardless, what we're seeing, and the reason why I'm put my name, is that there's a lot of buyer remorse. And we need to, and I'll also put out there, I'm a very proud conservative. You know, we buy our federal conservative membership 5 years at a time. But I have not held a UCP membership, and that is true. I do believe that at the municipal level, we need to have better representation on basically our core services. What do our property taxpayers pay for? And so my campaign is going to be around going in and doing some zero-based budgeting for 2025. I really believe that we need to go line by line item and understand where the money is. Because right now, I'm not trusting where the budget is. Crime and safety. Councillor Salvador says that the increased crime in the Capilano area, well, it's everywhere. Well, I can tell you, I did more door knocking than she did. And with the eye of being a former police officer, I did not see what we're seeing now. The open drug use, the overdosing, the needles, just the debris that's being left over from nights of partying. And also, we need to build better in Edmonton. These are hard-working tax dollars that need to be better respected. So thank you very much. I won't take any more time, and I appreciate any conversations I can have tonight.
Yeah. I know we have, I think, 3 other candidates here. And if you want to take the floor and just introduce yourself, because this is how we affect change too, is by putting your name out there and doing it. So did you want to come up and say hi? And the other 2 candidates as well. And I think he wants to say something. Do you want to say something? Yeah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Malik, and I'm running as a candidate for Mayor, City of Edmonton. And I ran in 2021, and I'm running again. So the alternative we have there is Tim Catmel and Ahmedid Sohi. So, and they plan to raise the property tax to 13% this year. And I mean, paying $600 million to a consulting company to come in and tell them how to do their job. $97.1 million to solve homeless issues. 1.8 million to remove homeless encampment. They just throw the money. Any problem, yes, the money solved it. Just throw in the money. So, but to what David said, and the military guy over there, is true of the UCP party. And I don't want to criticize my party. I love conservatives. I campaigned for Daniel Smith, Justin Kenny. I spoke to, in 2021, I ran for 3 months, left my campaign, endorsed Mike Nickel. And this time around, I spoke to Matthew, who was, Mike Nickel's campaign manager, about the list of donors. He says, well, that's mine. I'm not going to give it to anybody. It belongs to me. So for the fact that we cannot share these things to support each other, support each and every one of us who are running, I mean, it's how are we going to win? How are we going to survive? How do we work together as a team? And I am the only UCP candidate running as a mayor in the city of Edmonton. I've to Patrick Malkin, Brian Jean. I spoke to Todd Lowen. I say, hey guys, I need help. I need support here. Well, we'll see what we're gonna do. Hopefully, when the premier comes back from United States, hopefully around March, we can do something. So, hey, I mean, we had to put our money where our mouth is and support each other and volunteers and everything else out there. And yeah, and I hope that after this, anyone that has anything to asked to talk about could come up and speak to me. I love the fact that she ran in to become a counselor. I'll do everything in my power to make sure she got there because we need someone like her out there because everyone else. And she talked about Andrew Knack. I despise Andrew Knack, you know. I despise Andrew Knack with a passion. Andrew Knack is what's wrong with the city of Edmonton. And I wish she had me on that panel when she interviewed or talked to
This
her.
is just the start of the
Andrew Knack,
conversations,
because-
one day at a time.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Just the first conversation.
So as I said earlier, in the last provincial campaign, Imad and I worked closely together as co-candidates. So I just wanted to introduce Imad, who is putting his name forward to run in Edmonton Strathcona.
Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Imad Al-Zain. I'm not new to politics. I've been involved in the conservative politics for the last 20 years. And if anything that any of you can remember is a nightmare we woke up to in 2015, okay? That was the day that I had to walk into my office and tell all my staff that we're gonna drop in our sales and our revenues by 40 to 50%. And they looked at me and said, why? I said, because you have an NDP government. And it didn't fail. Every member of my business community that I talked to, it didn't matter if they were in engineering, retail, service, trades, they all echoed the same thing within those 4 years. Their revenues dropped. And you know, when your revenues drop, it's not just your own profitability that everybody says, you know, your business, you lose profitability. It's you being able to hire people to create jobs. Okay, being able to pay fair wages that you can afford to spend to live. This is what you have at stake if you ever sleep at the wheel and let the NDP win. Okay, I'm very committed to Edmonton Strathcona because I live in Edmonton Strathcona. I've been here for over 20 years in this neighborhood. That's my home. Okay, and when I look at the issues that surround us, I mean, you can name it. We've had NDP representation in Edmonton Strathcona. We've just been diving continuously. Our security is down the tube. Our tourism is going down the tube. Okay, when we talk about safety of our children walking to school, that's something to think about. When you're looking at the abuse and drug use in our neighborhoods, we didn't have that 10, 15 years ago. It's rampant everywhere. And why do we have that? You know, this is really where I always tell people when I'm at the door, I said, you can vote whichever way you want, but always remember that good governance will lead to prosperity, will lead to safety, and leads to wealth creation. And that, for me, is what I carry with my conservative card, is that when we can take over government, we improve the economy, we improve security, and we make it well respected among the nations. Okay, Alberta used to lead the country during our heydays of 2000 and all the way up to 2015. Okay, we were, when you came out and you wanted to buy a house and you were just starting your life, you got yourself a good job, good paying job, and you were able to put your down payment. Okay, that's what you get with good governance. Good education for your kids. Okay, I mean, I put 4 children, and now they're all big adults, and now I have grandchildren in this education system. And we could see the change that's impacting our kids as they're going into the elementary school and so on. All this kind of impacts comes back on our responsibility for good governance. Okay, you want to talk about healthcare? We have one of the best healthcare. I know that a lot of people complain about, but I know any time that I had anybody with serious illness, they were able to get treatment. Okay, and if you raise the stakes and if you talk to your doctor, he will see what he can help you. But does it need extra help? Yes, it does. Okay, I'm committed to running this campaign because I really believe in the conservative card, whether it was federally, provincially, or municipally at that level. But it's up to us really to change the card in Edmonton and turn it blue. And thank you for your time.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jack Sharon Mahal. I'm running a Conservative Party nomination from the riding of Edmonton Southeast for the federal riding. I can say that I am living in that riding from the day I came to this country in 2008. I am a committed Conservative myself. I believe in the values of conservatism. I believe that we need to send a strong candidate, regardless of which riding we talk about. We need to send it from every riding. By profession, I'm a lawyer. I practice in family law, immigration. This is, if you look at the conservative leadership in the federal riding, in the federal arena, I think we need to send the candidates. If you look at the Pierre Poilievre's vision on carbon tax, or fighting against taxes, fighting on issues like crimes, shortage of houses, you name it. We need strong candidates who can be his support, who can make sure that his vision is put forward in all the ways possible, in all the fashions possible. I don't want to hold you guys too long on this. I look forward for your support, and I'm always available in the riding. You can come to me if you live in my riding. Great, come to me, approach to me, talk to me, learn about my vision, why I want to be your mouthpiece in the parliament. Please look for. I look forward for your support. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It takes money to run a campaign. It takes money to keep a constituency association on the path to victory. So I'd just like to invite one of our Edmonton Regional UCP directors here to come and talk with us a little bit about what that looks like and why that's important. So, Ranjit Bath.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming out. This is great to see everybody here. I want to touch on a couple of points that Dean was making and some of you guys are making. I think one of the problems is that we got too comfortable as conservatives. We got way too conservative, way too comfortable because we had no competition. And 2015 hits, and we've got now the NDP just killing the economy till 2019, and now in the cities, the NDP is trying to take over, and they've already taken over Edmonton, almost doing it to Calgary. But what do we have to fight back? Which weapons do we have to fight back? We're not trying to figure out how we can engage the youth. We're not trying to figure out how we can get to the immigrant votes, right? There's a lot of immigrants, myself, that are conservative, that want to be into the party, that want to understand they have the same values, but we're not making that connection with these people. There's a lot of things that we kind of, conservatives are a little bit egotistic. Rather than kind of going that we're conservative and not matter what type of conservative you are, we try to tend to hate one another, or you're not my type of conservative, you're this type of conservative. And the NDP sends one message. And that's why I think even when you go and volunteer with them, and when you have people that are, you see the community leagues, they're involved in the community leagues, they're involved in the councillor level, provincial level, you can name a level, libraries, they're involved. We're not getting out there. We're not representing. So if we're not getting out there, we're not representing, our time is being used for whatever else, we can't be complaining either. You guys understand what I mean? We can blame the party that they're not doing this, they're not doing that. But the last election, people that hated Jason Kenney never came out and voted. Conservatives that should have voted. I'm a conservative. So even if I hate the leader, whoever it is, I'm not changing my vote, or I'm not sitting at home not voting. I'm still voting because I can't have the NDP in power. We can take care of our issues later. We can do that. But we cannot have us sit at home and let them come into office. So get out, go join your community leagues, go join the councillors, go join your library boards, get out there. This is great. Like a couple of events that I've seen in Edmonton recently where I've actually seen full houses like this. That was not happening. So this is awesome that we're actually getting out, talking about the problems, and hopefully we can get together and figure out some of these problems and start figuring out the solutions to these problems. Volunteers. When people are coming to volunteer, we have people that are, someone is coming out to give you their time, meaning even if they're not the best at whatever they do, let them be a part of it. We need people. We need anybody and anyone that we can get. But we start to tell people they're annoying or they're this or they're that just because they can't help to the ability that you want them to help out to be, right? So we tend to complain a lot, but not do enough. And I think this is what we need
That's
to
why
do.
we're doing, yeah. Like,
Yeah, and then this is great, but I'm just like,
Yeah.
I think we need to do more of our part as well, right? And the government, we keep saying that, you know, we make the economy great and this, but like the cities have a different, like I've been telling Miles, the cities have a different need. We can't be pushing the rural need into the cities. Edmonton doesn't need what Grand Prairie or Fort Mac needs. Calgary doesn't need what Edmonton needs. We need to figure out what these needs are. The party needs to figure out at every level. Like the federal party always has it figured out because you see Edmonton, we're getting out of 11, 12, we're getting 8 to 9 seats every time, right? So maybe the UCP and we're doing this in our board meetings. We need to figure out why is it? And I think when he answered at the heart, the things that are closest, the issues. It's the issues that we care so much about, like healthcare and education. Families living in the cities, like affordability matters to me. Healthcare and education matter to me. Guns might matter to, you know, me, but it might not be my top priority. But someone that lives in Cold Lake, guns might be their first priority. So we got to figure out how we attack each region according to their need.
Yeah, and we're not going to figure it out today, but we're starting the conversation. And just one thing that I wanted to say, because it is about CAs and stuff. I think one thing I just want to be really clear is, David mentioned it takes $75,000 to launch a really robust campaign. So you're aware a lot of the money when you're donating to the UCP party, that goes to the UCP party and not the constituency association. So every candidate, the candidates coming up here for the Strathcona by-election have to have their own kitty, and that's totally separate and apart. So I just wanted to highlight that really important thing, that it's worth donating to the constituency association in your riding so you could see a successful candidate in your riding. With that, maybe let's just do one more prize and then you guys can mix and mingle a little longer. So again, a book and a hat and or t-shirt. And who brought one person with you today to come here? Hands up. Who brought 2 people with you? Hands up. Okay, lady in the back, you win a book because you brought 2 people. P.S. It's my mom, but that's okay.
How about 3?
Oh, okay, 3. Sorry, I stopped. Okay, well, anyway, the goal is to next time bring a friend or 2 or 3 or 10. Maybe there'll be better prizes next time, but like we've said 100 times, this is meant to be the start of a conversation. Lots of passion, that's important. We don't have the answers, but let's look for solutions. Thank you all, and thanks for having me, Miles.
Thank you all. Sure how the volume was on that last one, but you know.